Call of Duty has continuously been one of the most purchased games every year this past decade. COD is the fourth best-selling video game franchise of all time. So you're probably wondering why I titled the video COD is dead if the franchise still puts up big numbers. When I say COD is dead, I don't mean that nobody plays the games anymore or that the games aren't successful anymore. I mean that COD is no longer COD. Call of Duty has drastically changed over the past couple years, and we all know where it started. It started with an attempt to innovate the franchise with the creation of advanced movement games, starting with Advanced Warfare. Advanced Warfare was a completely new concept that us COD fans didn't even realize was an option in the creation of a new installment of our beloved video game franchise. The game wasn't terrible, but it wasn't good. It brought some of the worst aspects of the COD franchise that we've come to hate: advanced movement, unfair microtransaction systems, and skill-based matchmaking. All of those were introduced within Advanced Warfare. That's a big yikes. There are many issues with COD games today, but I want to tell you some of the things that, in my opinion, have killed the franchise and that have made the experience of playing a Call of Duty game so much less enjoyable. The first reason I'll talk about is the attempts to innovate the franchise. An example of an unsuccessful and unneeded attempt to innovate the franchise came this year with Modern Warfare with the change to the minimap. I won't go too far into depth since I'm pretty sure you guys already know what the changes were, but honestly, who even asked for these changes? It was probably nobody. Infinity Ward really thought it would be a good idea to change a core mechanic of the game that has been there since 2007 when COD 4 was released. Advanced movement is another example of innovation to the franchise. I personally think this was a good move, but it was executed poorly. Boots on the ground can sometimes get boring and you want to speed up the pace of a match. I think Treyarch did this perfectly with BO3, but Sledgehammer definitely dropped the ball with the movement in Advanced Warfare. I don't think Infinite Warfare was all that bad, but it was released at a really poor time. Back-to-back years of advanced movement which the fans didn't want in the first place. I think if Infinite Warfare was released as the first game in the three of the advanced movement CODs, then people would have enjoyed it much more. I think Infinite Warfare just got a lot of blind hate that it really didn't deserve. I don't think it was as bad, but you know, it wasn't what people wanted at the time. Another reason that I believe COD hasn't been as good is the overcomplication of mechanics in the game. They seem to add more stuff to the game every year, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but with additions of new mechanics and more content into the game, there isn't enough work being done to other parts of the game. An example of this would be Blackout from the Battle Royale in BO4. Now, was Blackout a good move for the franchise? It definitely was. It really was. But was it a good move for Black Ops 4? No, it definitely was not. Since Blackout was such a big part of BO4, there were a lot more developers working on that new game mode than there would have been if it wasn't even a part of the game. Multiplayer and zombies suffered from a lack of content because they weren't able to create it due to most of the developers working on Blackout. That is only one example, but over the past couple years, we have seen COD games that are being released unfinished. That could be because they are trying to add and create way too much for the game. Now, if they were to try and change it to where we had less content, us fans would be upset with how quickly the game would get boring. So I definitely think this would be one of the toughest issues for them to fix. Another reason is microtransactions. I'll keep this one short because we've all heard it a billion times, but in-game purchases have really hurt the franchise. The supply drop system is simply unfair. You can spend hundreds of dollars and never get what you want from them. It is gambling. It absolutely 100% is gambling. It becomes even worse when they put the DLC weapons into supply drops. They did that with both BO3 and BO4, and those two games are known for having the worst microtransaction systems in the franchise. Supply drops aren't in Modern Warfare, but Activision has allowed supply drops to negatively impact the COD franchise just for some extra money in their pockets. Oh, and don't let me forget, Activision told Treyarch to directly lie to every single person about supply drops in BO4. They said there wouldn't be any, but we've seen how quickly that changed. At the time of this recording, there are no supply drops in Modern Warfare, but there's no stopping them from lying to us again and adding them in the game whenever they want. We already know that there's a supply drop system in Modern Warfare. It's not implemented yet, but it's built and it's ready to go. So who knows? They could still add it to Modern Warfare and there could still be supply drops ruining these COD games for the future. Another big reason why COD just isn't as good as it used to be is skill-based matchmaking. Do you remember back in Modern Warfare 2 when you could hop into a game and have a 60 KD because all you played was complete noobs? Sadly, that doesn't happen anymore. With the implementation of skill-based matchmaking, the game has become much more difficult. If you're even slightly decent at the game with even mediocre stats, it feels like you're playing a multi-million-dollar tournament legitimately every single game you play. You never get the chance to hop on the game and actually have fun and just play casually. Remember in middle school when you would come home and just mess around on Black Ops 2 with your boys and just have a bunch of fun? Yeah, well, sadly, that's not possible anymore, because if you're not dropping at least 1.5 gallons of sweat per match, then you're probably just going to get railed and have a horrible time playing. Skill-based matchmaking leads me into the next reason, and that is that they are catering to casuals. Actually, it's not just casuals, but it's like legitimately handicapped people. I mean, these people are catering the game to people who are so god-awful that I'm surprised they even know how to wipe their own ass. Shit, they might not even know how to wipe their own ass. There's a clip that came out a couple months ago that showed 2 developers from Infinity Ward talking about how they purposely designed maps that would help noobs perform better. They literally purposely designed camping spots for trash cans to camp in. If you haven't seen this clip, then y'all can go look it up. It's not that hard to find, but it's absolutely insane that they just straight admit that they are making safe spaces for bots. Safe spaces don't belong in Call of Duty. Those snowflakes can go play Fortnite. So I'll try to keep these next 2 short because I don't want this video to be too long. But the first is that the developers are not listening to what we want. We will say what we want fixed and what we want added, but the devs either don't fix the issues or it takes them forever to fix the issues. They clearly know what we want fixed and what we want added, but they refuse to change, and they keep the game down instead of fixing it and improving. If you get frustrated and talk bad about the game on Twitter, they will block you. If you criticize them in any way, the devs will legit block you. Like, you can't even talk to them because they just don't care about our opinions. So lastly is that I think we've just set our expectations way too high. We always expect the COD to be great and to revitalize the franchise, but they just keep getting worse and worse every year. We just need to assume that the game will be dog shit and realize that, yep, it is dog shit. Then maybe we'll just be able to trick ourselves into thinking the game is actually decent. We need to stop expecting good things from these developers because they just cannot give it to us anymore. Those are some of the main reasons that I believe the franchise has taken a nosedive. I'm sure there's many more reasons, but maybe I can cover that in a different video some other time. The video's not quite over yet. I don't want to be the guy that complains about the game but then gives no solutions to fix it, so here we go. Here's what I think they could do to restore the glory of the COD franchise. Skill-based matchmaking should be completely removed from the game. There should be absolutely no form of skill-based matchmaking in any COD from here on out. They need to stop focusing on casual players. Do what the actual community wants you to do. Listen to our videos and listen to what we talk about on Twitter. Fix the issues in a timely manner. Don't make us wait months for you to make the game bearable to play. Microtransactions at the time in Modern Warfare are in an okay spot. If it was my choice, there would be no battle pass since I'm not that fond of it, but I understand that there's always going to be microtransactions since they make so much money off of that. They need to stop trying to innovate the game. Just make a simple first-person shooter like you did with the greatest Call of Duty games of all time, Modern Warfare 2 and Black Ops 2. Stop trying to change so much. It's not needed. They need to make sure that these games are ready to go at launch so that they aren't busy trying to fix it months later after release, which delay and ruin future content updates. Well, I think that's going to do it for this video. Hopefully this video actually gets more than 10 views or something. I don't know. If you managed to get all the way to the end, thank you very much. You are absolutely goated. I really appreciate it if you'd hit that like button because I put a lot of effort into this video and it would mean a lot to me. Subscribing is completely free, so if you could do that as well, I would really appreciate it. Make sure if you do that, you turn on the notifications. Thank you so much for watching. Come back next time. Peace out, boyos.